forgot. I gotta shut the music off. Oh no. YouTube's gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna have to figure out how to share this to Facebook. So if any of you guys that are hopping on are on my logging and forestry community Facebook page, I'd appreciate it if you share the live video. So I'm just gonna start running a machine here so people have something to see. I think I'm gonna leave all this stuff. We'll sneak a piece out of this right here. Oh, it's got brush on it. Yucky. Oh well. How you guys doing this morning? It's New England Logger. I'm picking up some firewood. We had a cold night last night, so the trail's nice and hardened. It's definitely not frost, not frozen through, but it'll hold up. All I gotta do is really clean up this wood lot. How's it going, David? Appreciate you stopping by, bud. I know you said you were looking forward to some more videos, and honestly, my GoPro's been giving me problems lately. And with my newborn, I get home and I spend time with him and I completely space out the fact that I recorded stuff and I haven't been editing videos, so figured I'd hop on and show a little live feed. See how that goes. It might not be the greatest video in the world because of where my camera's hooked up. I had to put it in the front of the windshield. The windshield's a little bit scratched, a little messy. Is this any good? I think it's just a slab. Yeah, screw it. Then I'm going around just cleaning up some of the firewood. We already pulled all the logs. I got some beech in the back I gotta grab, but I can wait. Got a little soft spot right here. Hey, there's some firewood. I got most of it all piled up out here, so it should be easy to pick. But I decided to come up where my father already grabbed some wood this morning. Let's see if he left anything behind. I was gonna cut the tops up, grab a few cord on the way out. If you guys have any suggestions, you want to see anything in particular, you want me to move the camera or whatnot, I'll try to do that for you. It's soft over here. Grab this little pile of wood. Sorry about the sun, guys. It's actually sunny for once. We've had some wet weather the last few days, so it's been pretty gloomy. Not really good video making weather. Somebody asked me if it's really hard to load the machine with the Ryan's head on it. And even with the little firewood, it's not too hard. You just have to remember where your saw box is because that thing is heavy. The head itself weighs a couple thousand pounds, so it's a lot more than a rotoback, that's for sure. You feel the weight. If I move it around too fast, it kind of like shifts the weight of the machine. Almost as if like you were running a log truck without the outriggers down. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Just gotta get used to the way the grapple grabs, because on the Ryan's head, the grapple grabs like a shovel grapple. You see, so if I grab it like this, you see how it's kind of angled all the way up? I got the head's completely tilted, right? But it's facing up so that when you grab things, let's say this was a whole tree, it would lift one end of the log up so that you could move it easier. But when it comes to like loading the back of the machine, you got to remember that it's like that. So like if I went to go grab these logs again, I'd want the grapple facing this way. but like naturally you're gonna want to try to grab it this way, and it doesn't work so well. And it's just like the little things like that you pick up after a while. I gotta open my chat log here just because I'm not sure. I know I saw David's message. Let's see, live chat. Hey, there we go. You don't want to break your stuff. Oh man, I don't think I'm gonna break anything of yours. Unless you plan on buying it from us. Oh hey, look, that's a whole tree. It's junk too. And this is another nice thing, right? So if you find some firewood that you want to grab, or just cut it. Oh man, I think my dad might have hit some dirt earlier. Chain's not cutting great. I'll leave the camera on when I go to fix the chain. You guys can see it a little bit. Pull this one a little closer. So unfortunately, like the way that I have my live feed set up on the cell phone, my chat log disappears like in a few seconds. So if you guys are chatting with me and I'm not responding, I apologize, but that's why. I also want to try and share this video on Facebook. I was going to make a watch party and do a Facebook YouTube collaboration live feed, but it didn't work like that. I just pressed start and it started streaming on YouTube, so. And I don't have another device. Let's press share. Hey David, if you're still watching, if you could take the link for this video and share it on my logging page, I'd greatly appreciate that. I'm not going to be able to do it while I'm running the machine. I also appreciate the view and the like. It means a lot. Alright. That was a nice little pile of firewood. Got a couple over there. That tree's dead. I'll try and go over here. Oh, that's alright, David. I think at the bottom of the screen there's like a little share logo, and if you copy to clipboard you can paste on Facebook, but I'm not gonna, you don't have to do that. If you don't understand it, that's completely fine. The reason why we're cutting all these trees is because they're dead stands. Oh yeah, this chain is shot. Alright, I'm gonna go out and fix that real quick. Give me a second. I'm gonna put it somewhere where you guys can see it. Alright. I can't really put it anywhere else. I'm gonna go fix that real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Well, it's probably gonna be a lot more than 2 seconds, but we'll get it. I know that was boring, sorry. Had to fix the chain. There we go, that's better. Oh, I left my chain out there. Look at that. I gotta go grab that chain before I ruin it. I'm so used to hopping out of the machine and just tightening the chain that I forgot to grab the one that I took off. So I'll be right back. Little branch sticking out. I hit my head on it. All right. Chain's picked up. New chain on. Dead stand cut down. We're good to go. Hey y'all, thanks for joining the stream. Let me see. How's it going, Al? Oh man, listen, so all winter we've had about 3 inches of snow. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this has gotta be one of the lightest snow winters we've had in a very long time. But today, it's a whopping 4 degrees outside. So it's pretty cold. That's 4 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way. Negative 13 or 15 degrees Celsius. It is chilly. But yeah, no snow. It's really nice out, actually. Oh, there we go. Nice little grapple full. Oh, crap. I hit the wrong button. You guys ever do anything in your profession, whether it's logging or if it's anything else, and you can perfect it 1,000,000 times by yourself, but the second you try to do it with people watching, you mess it up? That is me, 100%. -2 in Michigan, and we didn't have any snow either. That's pretty surprising, man. Being in Michigan, you guys get that lake effect snow all the time, so I'm very surprised you don't have snow. I'm sure you guys got frost though. We've had like 50-degree weather the last couple days. This is the first few days that Friday and Saturday today have been the only days that were below freezing. I think in like the last week and a half. Come on, get over there. There you go. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm just doing my thing here. I'm gonna throw this piece out. Landowner can have that. I don't want that yucky crooked thing. Yeah, so like I was telling everybody before, if you're just joining the stream, we just got some cold weather, so I'm running around grabbing some firewood, cleaning up the tops and stuff that are left on this little small 10-acre piece that I'm doing. In between a bunch of residential houses. Which you'll see here in a second once I get over there. I'm going to throw this out too. When I'm cutting the trees down and I start bucking everything to size, you know, well, not the saw logs, but when I cut the tops up and cut the coal trees up, I try to pile all the firewood out here so that when we get some room, we can come and get it. Hold on, let me read that chat again. What did that say? 5 degrees in Maine. That is chilly. Or -5 degrees, I think. Either way, I'm sure you guys got snow up in Maine, though. Somebody's got to have some snow. Just glad it's not me. I don't mind it when it's cold, because that means the skid trails can freeze. Have I used the Carlton saw chain? Actually, yes, Stevie. The Carlton saw chain I'm not currently using on this machine, but on our other 830B with the CSI felling head, we're using the Carlton chain. It's actually way better than the stuff that I have been running. Far more, I want to say hard, so it holds an edge better than like the Oregon chain. But right now what I have on here is like a, yeah, this is the Oregon chain. You guys got some snow? Yeah, no, the last 3 years has been pretty bad. I know we had like 3 feet of snow a few years ago, man, that was rough. You had to go and like take a shovel to all the tree stumps in order to cut them down. Because at the time I didn't have this Ryan's head, so I was cutting everything with a chainsaw. Unless I was working on the same job with the other machine. Got a couple cord on there. What do you guys think? You can fit quite a bit more too. I got this whole left side over here. What do I got left? Just this one piece. Actually, that white oak's dead too. I didn't want to have to cut down all these little coal trees if I didn't have to, but they want all the dead trees cut. Because this is like one of the hardest hit sections in the state where we've had the gypsy moth and drought damage and oak wilt beetle and everything else, so like all the trees are dying. This wood looks like it's seasoned, but I just cut it down this week. It's been dead, some of it's been dead for 2 or 3 years. You go to touch it and it just falls over. Alright, I mean I'm gonna have to cut this white oak because it's dead. Get this out of the way. Snip this thing real quick. No editing in these videos, so if I mess up, guys, you guys are gonna see it live. You can laugh with me. The other day, I actually had one of the worst situations happen to me with this machine so far. Hold on, let me just check. I think they're smoother. Yeah, they're definitely smoother. Carlton's made by Oregon, but it's another company called TriLink. I have never used their stuff. I'd like to try that. I agree, the Carlton chain's much better than the Oregon. Yeah, everything I've heard about the Carlton chain is that it's harder, it holds an edge better, it sharpens better. The Oregon's just, especially in like this deadwood, guys. If I start cutting stuff that has any moss on the stumps, or if it's dead or like gives us a hard time, the Oregon chain just seems to lose its edge and it's dull after like, you know, 20 or 30 trees. That's not a lot. That's a lot if you're cutting by hand with just a chainsaw, but you could easily cut 100 stems with this and it wouldn't even blink an eye. And if you got a good chain on there, it'll last. One thing I can say though is these bars, these gem cutter bars, or diamond or gem or whatever they're called. It's painted orange for Ryan's head, but they are the best bars I have ever seen in my life. You can really put a beefing on them, like speed them up a little bit, and they'll take it. They don't bend easy. The rails hold up. It cuts straight forever. And I mean, I really reefed on a few of them, especially in the beginning when I was starting to learn how to run this machine. Because I've never run a filler buncher in my life. I've never run any type of cutting machine in my life. I've always just used a chainsaw. So when we first started this, I was afraid I was going to go through like a dozen bars. The first 3 months, I only bent one, so. I've replaced 2. No, 3, but I got a spare that I've been using. So like I have one that I just ground the rails on, and it's still good, that I keep in the tool compartment of the forwarder. So if I need a bar to get me through the rest of the day or to get me out of a sticky situation, I have one. I think we're gonna have to go out with this. We'll come back and grab the rest after. Otherwise I'm gonna lose half the load on the way out. But they're really good bars. They hold up real well. So right now, I'm all loaded up. We're gonna go out towards the landing here. I'm gonna unload the firewood, and we'll come back in. The skid's real short. Uh-oh. I got a short someplace, and every time I hit a bump every once in a while, it shoots my temperature up, and then it comes right back down. So that beep you just heard was the computer telling me that the machine was overheating. But it's not overheating, trust me. It went from 120 degrees on the hydraulic up to 200, which is critical. But that's just because the temperature sensor's whacked out. There's like an electrical wire or something that must have a fray in it. If I hit a bump just right, it sends it up in the sky. Marshall, have you ever tried carbide chain versus use time? I have not tried carbide chain, neither on a chainsaw or on the machine. Actually, I don't know. It could be crappy tips for the gem bars if you're running like a slasher, maybe, where you're cutting through multiple stems. But my tips, I've never had an issue with the tips. We did 88 acres over there, and then 10 acres on this job, and I've only gone through 2. So, oh yeah, if you don't hit any rocks and you don't hit any dirt or anything, man, those things will really hold up. It's a beautiful day. My cab's a mess. Got chains on the floor. But look at the temperature. See how it's like all over the place? It goes from like 120 to 130 to 150. And the temperature sensor's just messed up. I've replaced the sensor once, and I drained half the hydraulic tank doing so because I didn't realize it was pressurized. Yeah, so I've heard that they redesigned them as well, and it must have been before we started running them at all. This head's all over the place. Let me dump the head so it stops swinging so much. One thing I don't like about this is when I had the Rotobec, I had a snubber right there on the end of the crane, so it would keep it from like swinging all over the place like a giant wrecking ball. But on this one, I'm kind of limited because it weighs 3,500 pounds. Oops. Kind of hard to hold the phone and use the joysticks at the same time. That's why I had it in the window earlier. By far, 110% better than the CSI head. I couldn't tell you. I mean, we've had the CSI head for 5 years. It's a great head. It's a great machine. The operator that runs it for my father, he's really good with it. The one thing that I do not like about that CSI head is I can't do this. It doesn't have continuous rotation. The hoses are actually hooked onto the valve bank, so it only goes 180 degrees or something like that, or maybe it's like almost 360, but then you gotta go all the way back around. And I spin my grapple all the time. And we're gonna go up over the hill over here. So like when you're going to cut a tree down, let's say you wanted to make a front cut to directionally fell it because the tree's too big to make a single cut, then you'd be able to swing your grapple around, cut the front, and then swing, cut the back without having to worry about it. Same thing with like loading the back. If I use the continuous rotation on the grapple to like move logs around and stuff, I don't have to worry about my hoses. That's huge for me. Because like everything just comes naturally when you're running it. You don't think about it. I'd blow hoses all the time if I was running the CSI head. You put a swing brake on yours. Yeah, I'm sure that helps big time. That's actually one of the things I had on here before. But then they put on just a basic connector to it, so it doesn't really have a brake on it. But I had a swing brake on the Rotobec grapple, and I was just worried about how it would perform because, like I said, again, I've never run them before. I'm coming down on the opposite side of the job here. This is the total wrong trail. Because I was looking at my phone. The trail's over there. I'm gonna have to cut through here. Let me put the phone back down so I can actually focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. I might actually have to go all the way around. Yeah, we're gonna have to go all the way around, but grab this here. While I'm over here. Everything looks the same. I got like 4 trails coming up and down this hill because it was kind of steep. You can't really run the side hill too much. That top, this is a piece of crap. That's probably why he left it here before. I'll throw the diff locks on. There's nothing beats 8-wheel drive. Hey Stevie, I'm gonna check your message here in a second when I can grab my phone again. The bar on my window is cutting off the chat message. Yeah, candy cranes. This is actually just firewood. This is what's left over from after me picking up all the logs. This is like cold trees, top wood, stuff like that. Sorry about the beeping. I'm sure that's kind of annoying. It'll stop once I get to the top and shut the diff lock off. You guys are probably like, how the heck does he see where he's going? I don't see where I'm going. I'm literally just guessing. Oh, yeah, definitely good firewood processing wood. Oh, man. The 2025 will eat this up. The 2040 will eat it up. Actually, I got a guy that was interested in buying all of it. He runs a woodbine processor. They don't exist anymore. They went out of business. But they're a local company out of Massachusetts. Oh yeah. It's like, why am I not turning? Damn, diff lock was still on. There we go. I know you guys can't see anything because of the sun glare and the windshield and the big head sticking out there. I apologize, but we'll be there in a second. I would stop the video, but what it does is YouTube will send out like mass notifications and make multiple videos if I stop the video and try to start it again. So you just have to hang on. That's why I edited a lot of my videos and I did stuff for YouTube, because I felt like most of the stuff I do during the day, unless I'm talking with people, is pretty boring. I cleared land with a chainsaw and a bobcat. Hold up, where'd my chat go? God damn it. I mean, god dang it. Sorry guys, don't mean to swear. I cleared land with a chainsaw and a bobcat. Excavators. Never got to run one of these. Thanks for the video. Absolutely, bud. So this is awesome. I love these machines. Man, what am I doing here? I gotta turn around again. Alright boys, so this is what happens when you text and drive. Don't text and drive whether you're in the woods or you're in the road. You get distracted and then you don't go where you're supposed to go. I gotta get on the right side or left side of that stump. Now, surprisingly, with this machine being like 25 feet long and 8 wheels, 20-ton carrier, and we've had nothing but rain all week. This is my skid trail. And you just saw how I'm turning around. I got a full load back there. Hold on, let me turn the camera on so you can see the back. I got a full load back there, guys. Whoops. And we ran this 10 acres. I cut all the wood off of it. And we pulled all the logs out, all off on this skid trail. And we haven't had any frost, except for today, in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. 2 weeks at least. I know that a lot of people were asking me about the Timberpro. They're like, hey guys, you know, that thing's huge. That thing must make huge ruts in the woods and make a huge mess, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, it is really big. You gotta get used to it. Otherwise, you need a ballpark to turn the freaking thing around. But the nice thing about these machines is, regardless of if you have a head on it or not, you can take your grapple and pull all your slash in front of you, like I have in the skid trail here. So I take all the tops and the brush and anything that's left over from after I take the firewood. That was a piece of firewood, but it's a junk piece of firewood. And then throw it in the trail and we run it over. So you have some sort of corduroy or like a bridge mat or like a brush to run on, so you're not running on the ground. Distributes your ground pressure a little bit better. I just got a missed phone call from myself. I don't know how that's possible. The damn telemarketers. I'm holding the phone in my hand and I'm talking to you guys on YouTube live, but apparently I'm calling myself too. Alright, I'm gonna put this back in here so we can unload. One of the great things about having a, one of the great things about having a forwarder is all the small landing capabilities. This is your trail looks good. Thanks, Stevie. I appreciate it. This is where it got bad. Right in the landing, because all the loom and all the stuff from this trailer. Look at this trailer. It's an old abandoned trailer. No, it's actually somebody's house, dude, but nobody lives in it. There's no septic, thankfully. Otherwise, I probably would have went through it. Now, the guy that I'm cutting for, he owns 3 houses on this piece of property. 2 of them are occupied, and then this trailer is unoccupied, as you could call it. But if you went inside, you'd be like, this is not a trailer. This is a garbage dump. Yeah, I don't think that I would trust anything inside that camper to be edible, let alone sanitary. So, I'm gonna pass on that. There's a Blimpies right up the street. If I get hungry, that's where I'll go. Hey Stevie, I'm not sure about you, but with my head particularly, I leak a lot of bar oil because of the valve I installed. He said it was continuous all the time, but man, I don't know. You have a what? A corona? Oh no, you keep that coronavirus away from me, bud. You can stay in China. I actually had a log buyer contact us the other day. He said, with the recent coronavirus outbreak in China, a lot of our log distributors have refused Chinese visitors. What is your politics on the case? And I said, my politics? What the fuck? So, well, I'd rather you guys not come and take a look at the log yard right now. We don't need any people getting sick, especially my little kid. Yeah, so I actually put a new valve on it and I turned it way down. And I go through about 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons a day when I'm cutting. However, when I'm not cutting, it still drips. So you'll see like little strands of oil every once in a while, like if the sun catches it just right. The whole time that you're unloading the machine, you're just kind of wasting oil, but it's not significant. Like, you're not losing gallons. But it kind of does bother me because if you're not cutting, it shouldn't be using the lubrication that way there. When you do go to cut, your freaking tank's not empty. But I put 2 gallons a day in it every day just to be sure. And most of the time, that puts it right back to the top. That's like a full 8-hour, 10-hour day. That's not like what I'm doing here. This is just cleanup work. I didn't work all week because of the weather, so I said, hey, I'm gonna go in on Saturday and try to get something done. I lie when I say I didn't work all week. I was bucking wood up on Thursday and Friday, I think. What did I do yesterday? Oh, yesterday. Oh man. So yesterday we brought the machine out in the woods. The one that I'm currently running, and I was just driving up there with my chainsaw and stuff so I could buck up the wood. I didn't want to have to walk to the back of this particular woodlot that I was cutting on because it wasn't this piece, it was the one next door. And that freaking thing, I shut it off, I went and bucked wood. It was about 11 o'clock in the afternoon, 11:30. I went to go get my gas jug and move the machine and pick up some logs and bring it closer to where I had happened to be cutting, and I get in the machine and I turn the key and nothing happens. Like, the batteries weren't dead, everything turned on, fan was still working, the ECU was still working, there was no codes on the screen saying, you know, like power supply lost or engine oil temperature or anything. You know, there's no indication as to why it wouldn't turn over. So my father and I were messing around with it for, I don't know, a good 2 hours trying to figure it out. And we had another guy tell us, oh, it's definitely the wire on the starter. It's like, I don't know how the hell the wire on the starter could be shit because there's nothing that could get to it. Because on this Timberpro, the old 830B models were the absolute shittiest design. And I will say this again publicly, the 830B had the absolute shittiest design for the motor and starter location. So this Cummins is backwards on here, and the starter's actually up against the firewall. And the only way that you could get at the starter to replace the starter or to do maintenance on the starter is to actually pull the entire firewall out. Now let me tell you something. My father and I messed around with that for 2 hours. It's got Allen rivets, it's got half-inch screws, 9/16 screws. It must be like 100 freaking screws on the firewall. And I got about 7 of them off, and then I stripped 2 of them, and then my father was like, you know what, F this, I am done. Let's just get out of here, we'll fix it tomorrow. I wasn't having that. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking coming back here tomorrow and trying to screw this tomorrow. It's just not happening. I'm gonna start screwing around with some stuff and see if I can figure it out. My dad's like, I'm gonna hop back up in a machine and see if I can get it to start. So he hops back in and he turns the key And I'm over by the fuse panel, the fuse boxes, and I'm listening. I can hear the relay engage when he pressed the button. So it was like, it would click, 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 but it wasn't like the noise you hear when your battery's dead. It was like the relay was just opening, but nothing was happening. So he tries telling me that the fuses for the starter are in the cab, and he checked all the fuses and none of them were broken. But, oh man, oops, it fell out. That's all right. This is a log. Don't roll down the hill. Anyway, so he tells me the fuses are all good, and I was like, I don't know, I think it's a fuse still. So I just start pulling fuses. I'm like, you know, it's got to be something over here. And on the control panel, there's a 50 amp fuse for the starter. There's a 60 amp fuse for the filler pump, which is the pump that you use to pump hydraulic out of your 5-gallon bucket into the system. And they were both next to each other, and I said, it's got to be this starter fuse. I pop it off, and sure enough, it looks burnt. So I showed my father, and I said, hey, what do you think about this? I don't think it's good. It looks burnt. And he goes, yeah, you're probably right. I can't believe we just spent 2 hours pulling the firewall apart, and it's a stupid fuse. He's like, do you got another 50 amp fuse in there? I said, no. But I got this 60 amp fuse that goes to the hydraulic lift pump. And he's like, screw it, just take it out and put it in and see if that's the case. If it starts, then we know it's the fuse. It's not the starter. Now it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, so like, he's getting frustrated. I popped that fuse out, I put the 60 amp fuse in, it started right up, and he drove it out of the woods. So long story short, yesterday was a shit show, and then I ended up having to stay here until like 4 o'clock bucking wood because I spent 2.5 hours trying to fix something that wasn't broken. It was just a fuse. So if you guys ever run into a situation like that, always check your fuses, always check your gauges, make sure everything's inspected before you go and start tearing everything apart and thinking it's the worst, because more than likely it's something stupid, especially with today's equipment. It's all electronic. That way there you don't waste all sorts of time trying to fix something that's not broken like I did. But, you know, whatever. Shit happens. I'm going to double chat here, make sure I'm all caught up. Yeah, a check valve would probably work. Oh man, I'm gonna roll it over here. Look at this. 2 tires are off the ground. Hang on a second, guys. I know you're just looking at the computer. I'm trying to fix it. The way Dad made this landing, he has a stump right there where I cut. And he ran up on a stump and he slid down, kind of made like a little slide off the edge of the hill here. So the machine always seems to want to go into it. Put that back. And like I said, this is a nice small 10-acre lot, so real quick in and out as long as you don't go the wrong way like I did earlier. They all look the same after a while. I used to have a pile of wood at the top of the hill, and I knew that's where I had to turn to come down the hill, but my dad picked it up this morning, so when we were coming over here and I was coming to the landing to get out of the woods, I kind of went where I thought it was, and I was off. We ended up to the right a little bit. That's okay. I might throw diff lock on just to get up this hill without spinning. It won't need it. But the trick to this is, and the reason why I do it is because I'm missing a track in the back, and if I happen to lose traction, the front tires and the back tires will spin, and when you spin on a hill and you lose traction, you end up digging little ruts. So by engaging my diff lock going up the hill, the tires are all moving simultaneously. They're not like on independent. I'm gonna leave that wood for later. They're not on independent turns. Excuse me. So you don't end up making big ruts on the hill from spinning. It's 8-wheel drive. It's very nice. There hasn't been a place I couldn't get out of with this. I've put it into some really weird situations too. Being as big of a machine it is, you wouldn't think that it would be able to go some of the places that it does. But the beeping from the diff lock is super annoying, I know, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go all the way in the back there where we were just picking. Save this stuff up front for after. I'll make some quick turns in the afternoon so I don't have to worry about it towards the end of the day. If you guys are wondering why I look so bare out here, if you weren't sticking around earlier and listening to my conversation, it's cut really hard because this particular section of the state was hit with gypsy moth, drought, and now what's called the oak wilt beetle. So pretty much 60 to 75% of the oak stand in here was dead. So I had to cut down all of the saw log trees to try and salvage material from, and then all the coal trees because they didn't want any dead stands left out here, except for like the occasional 1 or 2 wildlife trees that I left here and there. But that's why it looks so bare out here. Luckily enough though, there's going to be a lot of birch, beech, and other mixed hardwood regeneration in here because that seems to be all that's left that wasn't affected by the gypsy moth. I think he wanted me to cut that big oak over there. Yeah, I'm driving past some wood, I know. I gotta get back up in the corner where I was just picking. It's soft right there. That's okay. Let's see if I can share this to Facebook real quick before I lose everybody. Press the share button and we're going to Facebook. Sorry about this, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to post it to my logging page. Where are you? There's so many pages. Firewood loggers, that's a good one. 100% forestry. What in the world? Where's my page? Loggers of the East. Oh, here we go. All right. I apologize for that, guys. I know it was boring. I know that this is not the most entertaining thing to watch, but I gotta do a few live feeds every once in a while so I can chat with the people that are interested in watching my videos. So, if you're still here, thank you. Oh yeah, the trees will definitely grow back. I love it. Everybody's saying that the red oak sawlog price sucks right now. It does. That is not a lie. You can hardly give the red oak away for the most part. People are still going to buy the high-end lumber because there's always going to be a market for the high-end lumber, but where you're losing is in your second, your third, and your fourth cut, your pallet. That's where you're seeing a real hit in the price. Now, before you used to be able to get like decent money. I don't want to talk numbers because there's people on here that'll shoot me if I do. But you could get good money for your pallet at one point, where it was almost worth cutting everything. You know, like instead of taking this firewood out, cutting everything right down to 8-inch. If it was straight, 2 clear face or better, it was going on a truck. Now I don't even know. It's like half of this stuff is not even worth pulling out of the woods, except for what I'm doing now, which is firewood. And there's so much firewood because of all the dead trees that we've had here in New England that the firewood market's saturated with a bunch of cheap wood too. So you used to be able to get $800 to $1,000 a load, and the loads here in New England are small, especially in Connecticut. Connecticut's weight limit won't allow us to have more than like 7 cord legally, and that's even pushing it, to be honest. And that ain't really much, but you used to be able to get $1,000 a load for the firewood, no problem at all. Now the guys are giving it away, $400 or $500 a load. You pay the trucking. That's no fun. I'm gonna pick up this big pile of wood. I'm gonna set the phone down so it's not so shaky. Hopefully you guys are still there watching it, enjoying yourselves. Probably trying to figure out what's going on. It probably looks weird, huh? Spinning around in circles. You got sun glare. You got some smudges on the window. And this kid talking his ass off, doesn't know what he's talking about. Just kidding. You guys remember this log pile? I do. It's the one we were just at. Oh, that's a piece of shit. Get rid of this thing. I must have been thinking, oh, that's a good piece of firewood when I put it there, but that is not a good piece of firewood. That's a good piece of corduroy. You guys are probably wondering too, if you're just joining, why I'm picking up such small wood. This is all firewood. It's just a cleanup part right now. All the logs have been cut and pulled, and I'm just cleaning up the top wood and the cold trees. Looks like a nice white oak log, but it's not. That's another thing too, like that white oak log right there, back when the markets were a little bit stronger, that would have been a good log. But now it's like, they don't want any of that stuff because they used to be able to pull a profit off their FAS lumber when they were cutting pallet. Any extra FAS lumber that they could get was paying well. And it was justifying paying a little bit more for the pallet logs. But now, with the lumber prices being so low, it's not even really worth doing. So they're just trying to buy all the high grade or the large diameter wood so that they can have a better overrun when they're sawing. If any of you guys aren't familiar with that term, what it means is that you buy a log for 100 board feet, but if your kerf is small and your sawyer is good, you might be able to get 112 board feet off of it. So you get that 12 extra board feet that goes towards being profit because you only bought it for 100. You might hear the same term too when you're buying standing timber. It might be marked, you know, let's say 75,000 board feet with 110 feet or 110 cord of firewood with a 10% overrun. If you hear that term, that means that they expect a little bit more than what they actually are bidding it for, but it's an estimate. Most of the time when a forester marks it, you don't get an overrun. And if you do, it's really, really small. Because he's trying to get every last dollar he can as well. And when you represent a landowner, and from a forester's perspective, you're going to get paid, you know, either the whole job itself, or by the 1,000. And an overrun, he won't get paid for the extra. So he's gonna mark it in the best interest of the landowner, so that there is no overrun. There we go. Jesus. Well, it didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Sometimes it does. We've got a nice little cheap pile here I'm picking off of. So I'll come in and I try to salvage as much firewood out of the tops and branches and coal trees that we cut down at the end of the job, so that the landowner doesn't have a big mess of tops and stuff everywhere. A lot of the times in other logging operations, tops only, I mean, the contract states that they only have to be lopped to 6 foot. It means that your tops can be 6 feet high some places if you wanted them to be. Nobody wants to see a big mess though. I have to circle around over here. Dead one where I was supposed to cut. There it is. See? Dead stand. Junk. At least there's nothing left at the top when you're finished though. That's the nice thing. Oh no, I lost one. Let me pull this up closer so you guys can see. This is probably only a year old dead. It's got on the top right hand side, but where the top was, that one's got about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of punk. First and second cut though don't. They're dead. The bark's peeling and stuff, but it's not like punky. Where the camera's positioned, you guys can't see me grabbing stuff really close to the machine. Sorry about that. I don't really have very many other places I can put it though. I'm gonna throw these on the back of the machine. I'm gonna double check the chat, make sure that I'm keeping up with everybody. I apologize if this is super boring. But this is kind of like the stuff that you don't get to see in my YouTube videos, which is just like, you know, picking up the wood and talking to you guys and trying to fill you in on everything that's going on so you know more about the operation without having to spend 6 hours with my videos. I got so many videos on YouTube. It's nowhere near, you know, guys like Logger Wade and stuff like that, man. He has been killing the videos lately. I got a big message here. Let's see what it is. Al, how you doing? Let's see. Yeah, no problem, Stevie. Have a good day. Oh, plantation pine, huh? That's pretty neat. I know the pulpwood. Yeah, pulpwood markets have been terrible. We don't even have pulpwood market here. Our hardwood pays $23 a ton delivered, bud. That's not even like a joke. It's dead serious. When we cut hardwood and oak, we what? We have everything 4 inches in diameter, and our brush has to be no higher than 3 feet. Yeah, so our brush has to be no higher than 6 feet on this particular contract, but I mean, other than that pile right there that I still have to crush, you look at my job, and all the way through we don't have anything that's higher than 3 feet. Just because anything that has any size to it, I cut it up. I use it for firewood, I run it over. The forwarder makes it so much easier. I mean, if I had to go through and pick every top apart with a grapple skidder or a cable skidder, forget it, dude. I would never get anything done. I gotta put the phone back down. This is so hard to run a joystick and look at the chat at the same time, but I'm paying attention, boys, don't worry. Plantation pine's gotta be cool. If I was cutting stuff like that, I would want like a log max head or something. These 2 birch trees are broken off. They don't have a top. So I'm just gonna get rid of them. Oops. Stuff like this, I don't like leaving behind, because although this tree snapped off probably because of a top of a tree that I cut out of something else, and I didn't intend to cut this tree down, like, I'm going to utilize as much as I can, obviously, but I don't want to leave something with no top sitting in the woods, because then when people drive by or they're inspecting the job or whatever, they think that I have no regard to the forest. It just looks better when there's not broken stuff hanging everywhere, trees missing tops, and so that's why I do that. Well, we were at 17 viewers, now we're down to 9. It's no big deal though. Thank you, I appreciate that, Al. I try to take a little bit of pride in what I do. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There's a lot of local people, both municipality and other loggers and stuff like that, that don't like what we do. I don't know if it's jealousy, if it's just the fact that we do so much volume, or if we really do a bad job. But I'm under the impression that a lot of it's just, I don't like using the word jealousy, but it's the only thing that makes sense, because we're not out here trying to take dinner off anybody else's plate. I'm just trying to put dinner on my own, you know what I mean? Oh, shut up. The machine was like, beep, we're done talking about that. But there's a lot of people that don't think that our jobs look good. And that's just because they either have never really seen logging jobs before, so just the sheer destruction and the change of the scenery, you know, kind of puts them on edge and makes them think that it's ugly or whatever. But I've seen some really bad logging jobs. I've been a part of some bad logging jobs, both to my own doing or people that I've worked with. Not something I'm proud of, but it's something I've learned from over the years, and we've tried to change the way we do things to accommodate so that we don't have those issues ever again. Speaking of snow, we were just talking about that earlier with a guy from Michigan here. We had about 3.5 feet of snow on a job, I want to say in 2015 or 2016. And in on that particular job, I was cutting next to a brook. And I couldn't, you gotta fix that here, let me check that out in a second. But I was cutting next to a brook, and the snow was so deep that I didn't know where the actual brook was, but I knew that I was close, but I wasn't that close, right? So I cut down, I don't know, probably like 2 dozen trees, and at the end of the job, everything was finished, we cleaned everything up. the snow melted like 3 months later, and it turns out that 4 out of like the 25 trees that I cut, the tops were sort of like right on the edge of the water of the brook. I actually got fined for that. They wanted me to go back and fix it, so I went back and fixed it. I said, yeah, it's my fault. I didn't mean to do it. There was a lot of snow. It was hard to see. But I'll go back there with some hip waders and a chainsaw, and I'll clean it all out, and we'll call it a day. Well, the town was happy with that. They said, yeah, well, we appreciate you trying to make an effort. So they let me do it, and I did it. And then what happened was the state got involved because the landowner next door got told from another logger that we screwed him, that we cut more than we said we were going to cut, which wasn't true, and that he could have got millions of dollars for his timber, which also wasn't true. So he threw a fit and he contacted the state, and the state came in and found out that I had cleaned up tops from a brook, but that I had originally left the job before doing so, and they found me in contempt, and they slapped me with a big old fine. So that was my fault. That was the one thing I did that I was not proud of, but it was a justifiable situation. There was a lot of snow on the ground. I had no idea that the tops were near the brook. I thought I was in the clear. I pulled most everything away from it. But it was just in a section where like the snow was so deep and there was nothing else to grab there that I just grabbed the logs and I took off. You know, I just left it. So now I make it like a damn sure. I make sure that if I'm cutting near any type of wetlands or any type of residential or somewhere where someone can see it and complain, that I'll spend all the extra time in the world trying to clean it up so that there's no issues. It's like this piece of firewood I probably would have left in the woods on any other occasion, but I'm cleaning up the job, so I grab it. It just makes it look better at the end of the day because landowner's going to come out here, or the neighbors make. There's a house right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Right on the edge of that wood line is a yard. And I'm sure if I lived in that house, I wouldn't want to look out my backyard at a freaking giant mess. So I keep that in mind, and I try to do it to the best of my ability without sacrificing too much production and costing too much money. So I found it easier to pull the logs and stack the firewood, and then when we get a day like this where it's slow or we're at the end of the job and it's cold enough, I can come back in, we can clean up all the firewood and stack it in the landing, and then it'll all go out when it goes out. But that way there we don't pump the landing chock full of firewood and then you have no room to put your logs. So I try to do this. It seems to work. And then you get your log loads up a hell of a lot faster because you're only skidding logs in the beginning, but man, does that put some strain on me when Dad's skidding. He shows up, he gets in this folder, and he'll pull 7 loads a day off of me. 7 loads of saw logs is like, that's a lot of bucking, man. I don't know if you guys have ever cut 7 truckloads in a day, what that feels like. If you were doing it with a Log Max head, yeah, okay, no big deal. But I'm cutting them down with this machine. I'm cutting the tops, then I'm decking all the wood, and then I get out and I bucket with a chainsaw. And on the days that I'm running the chainsaw, my father will come and run this and skid the logs off of me so that we can stay productive. But that guy does not mess around, guys. If you get there, let's say you're an early riser like him. I'm not an early riser. I get to work at like 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 8:30. That's because I'm up all night. I'm asleep. But he'll get here at 5:30, and he'll have 3 loads pulled before I get here, or 2 loads pulled before I get here. But then he leaves at 2 or 2:30, and I'll stay till 4. So we kind of work good together like that. I cut a little extra in the afternoon so that I can take a little bit longer in the morning. And then he comes in early in the morning and he gets it all cleaned up before I get here. or he gets most of it picked up, and it gives me a chance to like cut a few trees without him being right there on my butt. What I'm doing here is there's a little soft spot right in front of me, and these tops were kind of high. They're still under 3 foot, especially after I run them over, but it'll look better in the trail. See the little soft spot right there. Run this all over. And double check chat. I know, Al, you were talking to me, but I don't want to make sure I didn't miss any of your messages. You run a fixed head on an 80 horsepower excavator with a 20-inch cut capacity. Yeah, that's really cool, dude. Like, that's pretty much the Ryan's, 20 version? That's like the same thing that I got out of here. This is a 28C, so I got a 29-inch cutting capacity with one cut. But I've double cut like 40 plus. I've even triple cut an oak one time that was way bigger than what I should have cut, but it was rotten at the bottom, so I said, I'll try it. Get much more comfortable with making multiple cuts now because my accuracy as to where I'm making the cut has gotten a lot better. When I first started and I tried doing double and triple cuts, I was like 3 inches higher or 4 inches higher on one side than I was on the other. Oh, I lost one. I think this is going to be it for this load, boys. We'll just unload this. It'll be easier than trying to sneak in 1-2 inch pieces and losing them on the way out. So just go out now and come back empty. Go down here and take a left. I probably still got 4 or 5 more I gotta pick up. I didn't realize I had this much firewood out here still. I'm gonna try to bring this in, that way you can see where we're driving. Don't worry, boys, there's a little thing for the grapple. The original grapple that was on the machine, you're supposed to grab it in the front. That's the banging that you're hearing. I'm not hitting anything vitally important. There's a couple of beach saw logs there you never grabbed. Just in case you're wondering, I got an unlimited data, so that's why I'm able to stream. Thanks for asking, though. If I didn't have unlimited data, this video would cost me more than it would ever make. I know, this is the boring part. I'm losing all my viewers because we're just driving out of the woods. Plus, I'm sure there's only so much you can watch before you drive yourself nuts. I forget normal people don't really find this stuff interesting. I do it all day long and I still go home and watch videos of other people doing it. I guess that's just because I'm born this way. I'm a logger. I was born this way. I got Paul Bunyan's bloodline. If anything, I got big bloodline, a big blue ox. You seen my father, you'd agree. Coming up over the hill. Man, that looks good. Look at that. You can see the whole ridge line from here. Steep. It's only 20 degrees. I got a level in the cab. Yeah, we're approaching 20. It's really like 18. It's not too bad. I've got no music, because if I turn music on, we're gonna get demonetized. I'll tell you what, guys, if I wasn't talking to you, I'd probably go nuts in here. I'm not allowed to make videos with music. Get myself in trouble. It's my favorite job. My favorite job is actually cutting the trees down. I find it way more fun right now because it's new. But I've been running a folder since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I think my father got his first folder in 2000. And I immediately started running that Fab Tech on the weekends and in the summer. I think I was only like 16. I don't know. Oh, no, I was younger than that. I was 12. Liking math, guys. It's okay. That one is too long. I got a little trick for you. How do you like that? Sorry about the sun glare, guys. I know it's boring to see sun glare, but I cannot change the fact that there is sun in the sky. I could, however, probably clean my windshield a little bit better, but that's neither here nor there. Man, I should put this on Twitch. All those little gamer kids have never seen anything like this on Twitch. Go to the IRL channel. In real life. Man, the graphics on that game is so good. Is that Farming Simulator 2020? Nope. It's just my job. I did that one time. I posted one of my videos or like one of my pictures from work on a Farming Simulator gaming page. And I was like, guys, my mod is looking really good. What do you think? They're like, wow, dude, your Timberpro looks awesome. Looks so realistic. Oh man, that's nothing. This is just what I picked up this morning, bud. Truck driver cleaned this out over here. This was all saw logs in between these trees. So this firewood that we're picking up right now is just from what I grabbed this morning. Those saw logs were there, and that's tie logs. And then there's, hold up, all this firewood right here on the right side of the tree and next to the trailer. That was already there this morning. So other than that, all the pile that's in front of me that I'm unloading on was all picked up first thing this morning. I'll give you some if you want. Send me a truck. We'll load you up. Probably only a few hundred miles, huh? Come on. Oh, there you go. I thought I shut the heat off. I did. Man, it's hot in here. It's because of the sun. Yeah, Missouri, that's a little bit more than a couple hundred miles. That's probably like a couple thousand miles, or at least over 1,000. Don't think it'd be too cost effective to load up firewood and send you out there. Try to unload it slow so it doesn't roll down the hill. I missed that. Hold on. What was that message? Oh yeah, it costs you a hell of a lot in trucking. Probably cost you more than buying it if I gave it to you for free. Hey, but you're always welcome. If you ever want to take a flight, want to come check out the operation. It's nothing special. You pretty much see it all on YouTube and Facebook anyway, because it's all I ever do. But I got nothing to hide. I like having visitors. Makes me feel like I'm important and I got friends. Because I'll tell you what, man, working in the woods your whole life, there's not too many people out there that you make friends with because you're working so much. I literally work 6 to 7 days a week, and when I'm not working in the woods, I'm working at home, working on either videos, my house, my firewood operation, something. I'm always doing something. I don't really have time for friends. And I also have come through, I had not a bad life, I had a really good life. My parents treated me very well, but I chose some of the bad decisions in life and chose to hang out with some of the bad people. And quite a few years ago, I got myself wrapped up in a lot of bad situations. So once I cleaned my act up, I found that focusing on work and videos and Facebook and blogging pages, and websites, video games, all that stuff, it was a good way to keep myself occupied. And then after my brother died in 2015, he was running this folder actually, but when he died, I was under the impression that I was probably going to go back to doing some stupid shit if I didn't keep myself busy. So that's when I started really focusing on more of my YouTube channel and a lot of other stuff, because idle hands are the devil's playground, boys. And if you can stay busy, you can keep yourself out of trouble. I don't drink. I don't party. I got a kid now, so I got to worry about raising a child and making sure that I can feed my family and put a roof over our heads. So I just don't have time for people anymore. People disappoint me. Because you think you know somebody, or you think that you've invested a certain amount of time and energy into somebody, and you realize it was all for a waste. And it happens to you more than one time, and it makes it real hard to make friends, you know? Oops. Yeah. You don't like airplanes? Yeah, three kids in an airplane wouldn't be too fun. My parents tried that with us when we went to Florida, and that was only a 2.5-hour flight. I didn't like it too much, though. I've been on quite a few airplanes. They don't bother me. I'd much rather be on an airplane than on a freaking bus full of people for 12 and a half hours, that's for sure. Yeah, a lot of land. Honestly though, we live in flatland country too. It's just this particular piece, the last two pieces I've been on, it's got a little bit of a hill that goes down to the landing in the road. But I'm only like 800 feet above sea level here, so it's really not that big. But yeah, we got some slopes. The guys up north would call it flatland country. That ain't a hill, that's a slope. But the guys out like Indiana, Illinois, and stuff like that, man, I have never seen such nice dirt and flat ground in my life. I watched Dirt Perfect and Logger Wade, man, and I just shake my head. I'm like, man, if we had stuff like that around here, I'd never stop working. I'd just keep going. But the only problem with flatland is when it gets wet, there's nowhere for it to go. And it seems like you guys got different dirt out that way too, any of you guys from that way, because nobody runs chains or tracks on their tires. I can't understand that. If I ran this machine with no tracks, I wouldn't even be able to get up this hill. We'd be spinning on a banana peel. He said it's because the dirt's different. Like it's more clay or something. It packs better. I don't know. Not here. All we have is loom. Oh yeah, man. That's okay. People aren't really... I look at it this way, right? I will do anything for anyone. If they give me a reason to change that, because either they're a dickhead or, you know, they screw me over or something like that, then that's totally different. But for the most part, I will do anything for anyone. I will take the clothes off my own back and give it to a complete stranger. That's just the way I was raised. I was always raised to be nice to people, to be courteous about others, to realize how much hard work is put into certain things. So like I can relate to a lot of different situations, right? There's one thing I cannot stand, well, two things I cannot stand, and that's a liar and a thief. You lie to me or you steal from me and you give me a reason to change the way I feel about you, and I can become your worst enemy in a blink of an eye. Because I'm so passionate, you know, like alright, so we're going to go with the stupid signs here, and we're going to say my astrology sign is a Scorpio. And anybody that knows Scorpios, we're hard-headed, we're arrogant, but at the end of the day, we're very passionate. And I honestly, I would do a backflip for somebody if I didn't even know them, if that's what they needed. And I'm a fucking short, fat bastard, so seeing me do a backflip would be like seeing a whale for the first time in your life. It would be amazing. But some people just don't deserve your respect. You know, like, I've had some guys that I've worked with that I got really close to over the years. And I honestly thought that they were like a brother to me. And I put way too much of my own time and effort into the relationship and talking to them and stuff like that. Yeah, you gotta run tracks on the folders. That's cool though. You guys probably got a little bit more rocks and stuff there than out in Indiana. But some of the guys that I've invested time in, man, like I got real close to them and they felt like a brother to me, especially after my own brother died. I reached out to the people who are closest to me, and they happen to be the ones I worked with. I tried to get closer to them. I don't know if it was my own arrogance, if I'm just an asshole, or if they really were using me or whatever, but at the end of the day, they didn't want anything to do with me because their differences were, I don't know, they had differences. That's it, plain and simple. They didn't like me for whatever reason. The reason doesn't matter, but the moral of the story is that I'm done sticking my neck out for people and putting my heart on the line. I mean, I got a wife and stuff like that, so this isn't even girl talk. This is like guys that I work with and people that I'm friends with. Like, if I put my heart out on the line for you and I'm trying to do something to like help the both of us out, and you just can't understand where I'm coming from, then I guess it's better off that we're not friends. I literally work with like 5 people and I talk to 0. Me and my father are the only ones that really communicate. And to be honest, I like it better that way. Because when I was friends with him, oh, that's junk. When I was friends with him and we talked all the time, it just became like, not necessarily a pissing contest, but it was like, okay, today we're best friends, but tomorrow he's motherfucking me behind my back telling everybody I was doing this, that, and the other thing. Or they just assume that because I show up later than them or because I don't work as late as them, that I'm not doing anything. They don't understand the things that I have to do being the boss's son in order to make everything kind of keep going. So that we can all have a job, a paycheck at the end of the week. There's times where I was sharpening chains for the harvester head, or I was getting fuel for the machines in the morning. It just became so much of an argument with everybody that my father decided to give me this machine and put me on my own job and help me out when I needed it. He said, Greg, you can't work with anybody else. It must be your attitude or for whatever else, whatever reason, nobody can get along with you. So you're better off to go work by yourself. I said, okay, I like that idea. I might not be able to get anything done, but I'll try. It's been over a year now, so I guess I'm doing something right. Working by myself. I want to be honest though, if I didn't have my father, it would take me a hell of a lot longer to get everything done. It's like I said, on the days that I'm cutting the wood up, the saw logs and everything else, he's running the folder and skidding logs, so we make a good team. Plus, at the end of the day, if he doesn't like what I have to say, he'll tell me to go fuck myself, and I'll tell him the same. You know, we get mad at each other, as most fathers and sons probably do, or family that works together. But my father's always looked out for not only my best interest, but our family and our business's best interest. And because of that, he gets taken advantage of from everybody. People that he works with, people that have worked for him in the past, people that want to work for him. But I guess that's where I get it from, though. You cross him and you'll know it. He's given a lot of guys opportunities to come to work that probably wouldn't have ever gotten a job anywhere else if he didn't give them that chance. But all in all, I mean, it's not like the people that work for my father are bad at anything that they do. A lot of them are really good, really talented individuals, and I really admire some of them. But it's not likewise, you know. They don't admire me in the same way. So that's okay. I got a wife and a kid to focus on now, and they're everything to me. My son Liam is got his bottom 2 teeth already. He's growing up so fast. I feel like I haven't even spent much time with him. He's already almost a year old. It's crazy. He's already saying mama. Which is kind of weird, because it's like one of the harder things to say, but hey, it made her really happy. Every time I ask him to say dada, he looks at me and smiles and says mama. If you guys ever saw that show back in the 80s called Dinosaurs, it reminds me of that. Not the mama, not the mama. That's okay. At the end of the day, I know what I'm worth, and that's all that matters. If other people don't see it for the way it is or see it the same way that I do, it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. As long as it doesn't hinder the way I can do my job or live my life, you can say whatever you want. There's a lot of good people in this world that do see the good in me, so the ones that don't, yeah, well, they don't bother me too much. Let's double check this chat. I'm pretty sure I missed a message here. Yeah, I talk to more people on YouTube than in real life too, man. I get online too. I play a lot of video games on like Twitch and Facebook and stuff like that. So I'm more of a social person online than I am in person. And it's not because like I'm a scared person or I'm like a homebody or whatever. If you saw me in real life, I'd probably talk just as much, but man, is it nice not to have to worry about like people that have friends in like normal situations. Like they'll ask you out to dinner, right? Let's say, hey, you want to go to the bar? You want to get a drink tonight? And my answer is no. I don't want to fucking drink, so why would I want to go out tonight, you know? But like in any other situation, friends feel obligated to say yes, and they want to go out and have a drink with their friend because they're, you know, like, they got to try and maintain a relationship. I don't got time for that shit. If I have time to go out, I'm gonna go out with my kid and my wife, or my dog, my kid, and my wife. Go to the park someplace. Do something productive. Do something that like the time is valuable. I'm not gonna waste it going to get drunk at a bar. Like, where the hell's the fun in that? Alcohol's a depressant too, so like anybody who's ever come from any type of mental health issues or grieving or being depressed or anything like that, the last thing you want to do is drink alcohol. It's literally just going to put you in a worse mood, or it's going to enhance the mood that you're already in. Every time I drank, that never ended up working out so well, so I stopped drinking a long time ago. Now, don't get me wrong, if you and I, let's say if one of you guys, one of the viewers, happened to stop by and invite me out to dinner and you offered me a beer, I'll drink it, because that's the courteous thing to do. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't drink beer. That's disgusting. Keep away from me. Like, I'm not that type of person, but I'm not going to go out of my way and buy one. It's a respect thing. If you buy me a drink, I'm going to drink it. But I'm not going to go buy one. And if you buy me 2 drinks, I'm going to be shit-faced, so you better be careful. Pretty sure that I made my video. Yeah, I know. Facebook's a little bit different. Unfortunately, that's this thing about the younger generations. You know, I'm a 80s child, technically a 90s child because I was born in 1988. A lot of the guys that I talk to, a lot of the different loggers on the Facebook groups and stuff like that, they're older than my father. You know, they've been around a lot longer than me, and I respect everybody, man. Sometimes it doesn't seem it. I'm sure if anybody's snuck in on some of my conversations I've had with other people, you wouldn't assume so, but pretty humble individual. I definitely love logging, man. This is like one of my biggest passions. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because of how close it brought me to my father. I don't know if it's because I'm 4th generation and my grandfather and his father did it. I don't know. But I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything. Unless, of course, I was making, 6-7 figures playing video games. That would be cool. But then I'd probably still want to come out here and do something, because if I didn't, I would blow up like a balloon. This is the only thing that keeps my weight in check. And I wouldn't even consider it in check because I'm 5 foot tall and weigh 200 pounds. But I'm not 5 foot 300 pounds, so there's that. I appreciate you guys with all the likes and shares, comments. It means a lot. I'm sorry if I'm missing anything. I'm trying to just do my job and not look at the phone so much so that what you're watching isn't like nonsense, but I'm seeing the messages. Yeah, I'm sure you are. A lot of guys are. But that's okay. I mean, as long as I can respect you and you can respect me in the same, then age is just a number. Experience is one thing. I'll give you that. I don't care what anybody says. Somebody who's been in the woods for 10 years has got far less experience who's been in the woods for their 40, 50, 60 years of their whole life, But then again, I've also seen guys who have been in the woods for 25 years who don't know how to get themselves uncut from a fucking stump, so. Woo. This neighbor's probably sick of me being here. Sawdust runs in our veins. Sure does. We're direct descendants from Babe and the Big Blue Ox. Oh man, I'm missing a puncture. Yeah, alcohol sucks. Gave up drinking 15 years ago. Congratulations, man. I love that. 4 years. That's awesome. I've been off drugs and alcohol for 9 myself. So that's awesome, dude. That's really awesome. Congratulations. My problem was never alcohol. It was people. My whole life I told myself, you know, I might smoke a little weed, but I'll never do anything else. I'll never do anything else. I told everybody that growing up. And then something happened. I think one of my ex-girlfriends cheated on me, stole my credit card, racked up a bunch of bills. I got all depressed, and then I cut my finger with a chainsaw. I needed 9 stitches in my finger, and then I ended up getting pain meds for that. And then one thing led to another. And then like a year later, I ended up having to put myself through rehab, so. I try to stay away from anything that's not necessary. And I also have PTSD, so there's some shit that goes down that makes it a lot harder to be able to do all that without any substance, but there's stuff out there for people who need it. But it really comes down to, man, is just willpower. If you want to change, you can change. If you don't want to change, if you're happy and comfortable being a drunk or being a drug addict, you're never going to stop. Doesn't matter who tells you to stop. Doesn't matter how many times you tell your family you're going to stop. If you truly enjoy what you're doing, you're not gonna. It's just like quitting smoking cigarettes. I smoked 2 packs a day before I went into rehab. When I got out, I still smoked because they wouldn't let me have anything when I was in there. So it's like the rebellious side of me just wanted to smoke when I got out. But the second I did, I was like, this is freaking disgusting. Why have I been smoking this for so long? I thought it was gross. Just the smell of cigarettes and ashtray was like, it literally was a huge turn off. It made me want to puke every time I smelled it, but now I'm like, whatever, dude. Oh, I've seen a lot of people that have cut wood wrong their whole life too. I actually still know people who currently cut wood wrong. But because I'm 32 years old, not even 32 years old, I'll be 32 in November, but because I'm a 30-year-old child in their eyes, I can't try to tell them anything. I can't teach them anything because they don't want to learn. They're under the impression that I don't know what I'm doing. Or because that they've been doing it for so long that their way is the only way. Ignorance is bliss though, Al. You know, you can try and take something that you've done your entire life and you thought that that's the right way to do it, and somebody might come along and show you how to do it a different way. And when they do that, you can take it 2 ways. You can tell them, you don't know what you're fucking talking about, let me do my job, which is the usual response that I get. Or you pick something up from them and you're like, wow, you know, that actually makes a lot of sense, and holy crap, it makes my life a whole lot easier. And here's a perfect example of that. About 3 years ago, I was introduced to a gentleman who came to work for my father for a little time, who had the Grandberg Fila joint, which is a chain sharpening system. It's just a rig that you put on the end of your bar, and it holds the angle true, and you just use a file to swipe with it. Yeah, it's pretty cut forward. And I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. I was like, dude, you don't need a freaking file rig. Like, just sharpen it by hand. If you're good enough and you've sharpened enough chains by hand, you should be able to get that thing sharp without any type of equipment. And then he let me cut with his saw. And I was like, holy shit. I've been doing this wrong the whole time. And he tried to show me that the reason why I was having so much issues was because of my inconsistency, where like my left chain teeth were perfect, but the right side, because I'm left-hand dominant, was all whacked out of its mind. It was literally like 7 degrees off from my left side. And then once he showed me like how to use it and explained to me that having teeth that were all even, all the same size and all equally sharp with the same angles would cut better, like it blew my mind. I totally didn't understand sharpening until I did that. I thought I understood sharpening because for like 15 years I was using a file and just a handle, like, you know, I just filing by hand, by eye. And no one ever sat me down and told me, hey, Greg, you need to use your file like this. You need to hold it this way. You need to use that angle. I literally watched my dad and I was like, hey, I can do that. And I tried it and I got it to cut after like 15 times. And when I got it to cut, I started doing little things that make it cut better over the years. And then it was like I got to the point where grown men that have been in the industry for, you know, 10 plus years saw me cutting with the saw. They're like, dude, how did you get that saw so sharp? And like that was a huge ego boost for me because I was like, yeah, look at that, man. I'm better than these guys. I can sharpen a chain. And then I actually sharpened a chain the right way for once, and I haven't gone back since. I probably couldn't even sharpen without my file guide now. And if I did, it would take me a while to get it back to the way I had it before. But I have no desire to, because it cuts so well using my file rig. And this is a little bit over the headboard, guys. I think I'm up for now. I'm going to unload this. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you what, it was probably a lot harder for you then than it is for me now, because back then there was so many people that would do the job, right? Back in the 80s and the 90s, you could find a dozen guys within a 5-mile radius or a 100-mile radius, anywhere, I don't know where you are, but like let's say a 20-mile radius, there was 5 guys willing to go to work for you if you couldn't find somebody to do the job. Now, you can't find one guy in 500 miles that's worth paying to cut trees because they don't know what they're doing. Or they don't want to work. They want to run the equipment. They're like, no, yeah, I can run that big machine. And they're like, all right, grab that chainsaw, go cut that tree. Oh, no, I don't do that. That's too dangerous. And then they want $300 a day. So, back then, it was probably a lot harder for you because there was so many more options out there for people as far as hires go, hired help. You know, if I thought you didn't do your job, I'd have to keep you. I got no one else around. And then you'd learn how to do the job the right way. That's the nice thing about now is you can train people because you have to. You know, people aren't lined up around the block anymore to try and come to work in the woods. If anything, all the guys in the woods are lining up at the municipalities trying to get a state job so that they can get their insurance, their benefit, and 401k, paid time off, and holiday. Because the wood market just sucks and it's just not worth it anymore. Unless you're established. There's no way in hell that I would want to go out and buy a brand new piece of equipment and try and start my own business in the woods today. It wouldn't happen. And if it did, I would have to have a year or two's worth of contracts ahead of myself before I even consider it. It's just the wood market's too volatile. I'm gonna get down to the landing here. We'll unload this one, and then I'm gonna stop the stream, the live stream, because I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm gonna grab my water out of my truck. And I don't want to keep the camera rolling and waste the battery and the data and have you guys watching nothing for a little while. So that's probably what I'll do. But we still got a little bit here. I'm gonna go out, unload. Good help is hard to find. It's not just hard to find, it's almost impossible to find. And the key word being good help. I could find all sorts of bad help. You know, all you got to do is go down to the local area of poverty where drugs are running amok, and you could probably get 10 guys that could come do all the grunt work for you. But at the end of the day, all your tools will go missing, someone's going to get hurt, or you're going to get sued. So it's not even worth it. That's why I think that my motto from now on is, especially in the future, if I was ever to take over my father's company here, and or start my own company for that matter. I'm gonna put this down. This is getting ridiculous. I wouldn't go and start new, and I definitely wouldn't hire anybody. I'd just do it myself. Because if I can't get it done myself, then I'm never gonna be able to be successful with a crew. You know what I mean? Hey, you know, I would love great help, and I wouldn't mind it one bit, but I'm not in charge, so I couldn't give you a yes or no on that one. But if I ever do go on my own and you wanted to come spend some time, that'd be cool. Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do, you know, and we've tried to, well, that's actually 100% truthful. So about 3-4 years ago, we had a crew of 9 people. That's excluding family members. So not me, not my uncle, not my father, but everybody else that was working for us. There was 9 other people. We spent probably 2 or 3 years training some of them. Some of them had been with my father for 10 plus years. Everybody was at that point where they were doing the job that we needed them to do. They started to understand how to cut grade. They were cutting logs good. And then every last one of them up and quit and went to work for somebody else, and it's not even in the logging industry. They're either working for a tree service company, plowing snow for the state, or something. And I can't blame them. Like, I got a really good friend of mine, Nick. He went to work for the state, and I didn't want to see him leave. But there wasn't a day in my mind that I didn't tell him that it was the right thing to do, because I knew it was the right thing to do, especially for his family. But I miss him. He was funny. He was a good kid. He's still a good kid, still funny, but he doesn't work with me, so now it's not as fun anymore. They all end up quitting and they go to work for somebody else after you train them, so there's no point in doing it anymore. You plow for the state? That's what's up. Oh, you're a one-man show. Yeah, that's the way to be. That's the way to be. I'm a two-man show. My dad comes here every once in a while. He was here this morning, skidding before I even got here. He pulled 2 loads before I got here. But then as soon as I got here, he left. I think he went to go do some firewood. I'm going to try and pull up closer to this pile so that we don't have as much sun. There we go. That should be all right. Of course, the sun's like right over the log pile, so every time I turn towards it, you get that big sun glare. Too much weight on those little soft maples, or that the whole pile's gonna go rolling down the hill. There's a big ugly one over there. Oh, the freaking telephone poles right there. That didn't work out so well. That's why he stopped piling over on that side. I don't know about you guys, but this kind of weather is my favorite. The sun makes you feel like it's a nice day, and then you open the cab door and it's freezing out. It's like the perfect happy medium. It's not cold and gloomy, but it's not hot and miserable. It's like right in the middle. There's no snow on the ground, so that's nice. This time of year is usually not my favorite because the snow, but oh shit, I'm losing that one. It slipped out. There we go, that's okay. Again, I apologize for all the swearing. I don't have a filter in real life. Again, that has a lot to do with the fact that I'm never around people, except for loggers. And they're like sailors. They don't have filters. I know I try to get better, especially now that I have a son, because I don't want him to repeat half the stuff I say. But it's tough. You can go like 30 years without a filter. When you're unloading with this, it's always best to have your saw box facing away from where the logs are, but in this case, because the pile's so high, if I was to do that, the logs would slide off the back, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna try it. Let's test that theory. That's actually not too bad. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Sometimes they don't cooperate. I don't know how much higher I'm going to be able to pile this firewood. The log truck won't be able to reach it. Yep. It's just like a sailor. You know, you just don't got no filter. It's really bad when I'm around my in-laws. I feel so bad because my poor wife, she came and she was raised much differently. Her parents are very, very, very nice people. And they all, you know, they're respectful people, right? So they don't swear and stuff like that in day-to-day conversations. And like, I'll just be having a genuine conversation about something that was on TV, you know, something that's not even really relatively bad, that wouldn't need a curse word to be inputted, but I'll just be like, oh yeah, did you see that fucking show last night? It was pretty funny. Oh shit, I should have said. You see, like, I swore 3 times in the sentence, you know. And they're looking at me like I got 3 heads. Like, why is he so explicit? Sorry guys, I don't have a filter. I've tried to get there with it though. There was a time in my life where every other word out of my mouth was the F word. And honestly, if you come into my room late at night when I'm playing video games, you'd probably still think that it is. But I do my best to try and be as humble as possible, because at the end of the day, we are only as good as we allow ourselves to be. Oh man. The sun glare is starting to affect me. I can barely see what I'm doing. I might be able to fit the rest of that over there in the corner. didn't just see it because of the way the camera was facing, but somebody just went flying by like 100 miles an hour and then slammed on their brakes right at the end of the driveway. This is a back road with like no painted lines. I think the speed limit's like 25 miles an hour. That guy was definitely going well over that. The funny thing is about this particular job or this particular section of land is that we've done every piece of property on this road except for one or two. So if you drive down this road from one end to the other, it looks like we hammered the whole property, like every single piece going down this road. Yeah, I know it does. It's definitely gotten way better with age. I think it's just a little bit to do with respect, though, too. You know, if I didn't learn respect by getting knocked on my ass a few times, I probably would still have the worst mouth in the world. Plus, having things that you want to change for, you know, like in-laws, a family, kids, wife, whatever. That helped a lot too. So if it was just me and I didn't have to worry about anything, I wouldn't care. Like, what do you mean I gotta watch my mouth? Growing up, cursing was normal for me, man. As long as it wasn't around my mom or my grandmother. And then unfortunately, the older I got, the more often I would swear around my grandmother and my mother. They still hate it to this day. Oh yeah, I wanted to grab my water and go to the bathroom. Alright, so I'm going to park right here real quick. I might come back on for another live video in a little bit. I want to say thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around and talking with me. And I know it's been like a 124-minute video. That is probably one of the longest ones I've ever done on YouTube. I also didn't have a filter. I didn't edit. And it was live. So that was just an interesting thing for me. Yeah, definitely. I probably did too. It was like the first word out of my dad's mouth around me. But I'm going to step out of the machine. I'm going to go to the bathroom, grab my water, and get ready to go back out in the woods. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. Thanks again. Have a good day, guys. See you soon.